At some point, your application will need to do decision making, and that's what we're going to evaluate today. To start off, let's write a string name, and let's give it a value of Patrick. Now, to write an if statement, you start off with if, parentheses, and then you do your logic. So if name equals Patrick. Then let's do a system.out.println hello Patrick. And we'll just close that as well. So what this is trying to do is to see if this string name is equal to Patrick. And if this is true, then it prints out hello Patrick. So let's run it and see what happens. And there you can see it says hello Patrick. You'll also want to know with the if statement, you can also create an else statement. So let's just put else system.out.println sorry, I don't know you. And closing bracket. And let's just change the name variable here to Bob. And let's see what happens this time. So there you can see it printed sorry, I don't know you, because it tried to match the name variable, which is Bob, to Patrick, which failed, so it got into this else statement. Now let's add a greeting for Bob. So let's do else if name equals Bob. System.out.println hello Bob. Now in this case, it's going to try to check to see if it equals Patrick first. If it doesn't equal Patrick, then it's going to move on to the next if statement. Then it's going to try to see if it equals Bob. And then if that fails, then it will print out, sorry, I don't know you. So if I run this now, it's going to say hello Bob. Now, because we're using the string object in the Java API, we can actually do name dot equals, which calls the equals function, which is basically the equivalent of equals equals. So if we run this now, it's still going to say hello Bob. Now with almost every application, you'll need some type of user input. In this case, I want to evaluate the keyboard. So I'm going to do import java.utility scanner. And down below here, I will do scanner, and we'll call it keyboard, new scanner system.in. So this is giving us access to the keyboard. So instead of doing string name and defining it in the project, let's actually get input from the user. So I'll do keyboard.next line. So now when I run the application, it's going to ask me to input something. So there, you can see it's waiting for input. So I'll type Patrick. And there, so now that it equals Patrick, it printed out hello Patrick. But let's try running it again. Let's try entering a name that's not on the list. Let's try Jill. And there, you can see, sorry, I don't know you. Now let's move on from strings to actual integers. So I'm going to erase all of this, but I'll keep the keyboard there for now. So we'll do int age equals 24. So let's look at some other comparisons you can do in an if statement. So let's type if age equals 24. Close that. System.out.println. What a great age. And let's do an else if age is not equals to 24. Then system.out.println. Too bad. And let's just change this up here to 25. So in this case, it's going to try to match age to 24, which is going to fail. So then it will move on to the next else. Oh, I forgot a space there. Else if age is not equals to 24. So as long as this number is not equal to 24, it will print too bad. And there you can see it printed too bad. So let's just change this 25 back to the keyboard and let's do next int. And let's add in some new logic up here. So let's do if age is less than 5 or, which is two pipes, age is greater than 125. Let's do a system.out.println. I think your age is fake. And let's run that. And let's input 189. So here you can see it thinks that my age is fake, but we're also still doing some processing down here because the age is not equal to 24. It's still printed out too bad. So let's add in another else statement here. So else if age is greater than or equal to 5, ampersand ampersand, which is and age is less or equal to 125. So in this case, we actually think that the age is real. Now, if we want to keep this logic here, we'll actually want to copy it and paste it. And I'll just tab this over. Get rid of these few lines. Oops. Get rid of a few of these lines here and make the code nice and clean. So actually in this case, we're checking to see if the age is less than 5 or greater than 125. And in that case, we're going to print out that we think the age is fake. But if we think the age is real, then let's do the logic to see if the age is equal to 24 or not equal to 24. So if we run this again and type 189, it's only going to print that it thinks the age is fake this time. Now beyond the if statement, you can also do a switch statement, and I'll show you how to do those right now. So I'm going to erase all of this code, but we'll keep the keyboard scanner. And let's create a greeter. So we'll do system.out.println. Hello, what is your name? And then we will do string name equals keyboard dot next line, which will capture the user's input for their name, and then we'll give them a choice of different languages they can select. So let's do system.out.println and select a language. I'm actually just going to copy this to make my life a little bit easier here so I don't have to type that out multiple times. And we'll change this to 1 is English. 2 is French, and 3 is German. And let's just add a int choice equals keyboard dot next int. Now to write a switch statement, we start by typing switch, and in this case we want to check it against the choice integer, and we'll do case 1, and we will do a system.out.println hello, and we'll use the name that we capture in the beginning. And we'll add a break here, and I'll explain that in just a minute. And for case 2, we'll do system.out.println bonjour plus name. We'll do break. Case 3, system.out.println, and we'll do Guten Tag, or I might be spelling that wrong, Guten Tag. Name, break, and one final one of default, system.out.println. Sorry, that choice is invalid. And we'll just close that switch statement. So let's just recap what's going on here. First, we're creating this keyboard object up here, which is capturing input from the keyboard. Below, we're outputting a question asking them what their name is. The next line, we're capturing their input through the keyboard object and storing it in the string name. Then we're giving the user a list of 3 languages that will greet them in. And we're capturing that by choice and the keyboard grabbing the next integer. Then, whatever the user inputs here, we're going to switch to the case depending on it. So if they select 1, we're going to print out hello, their name that we captured up here. And if they select 3, we'll type Guten Tag and their name. Now, if somebody types 4 or 5 or some other variable, it's not going to match any of these ones and land on this default case. So let's go ahead and run it and see what happens. So there, it's asking me for my name. I'll say Patrick. It wants me to select a language. I'm going to say French. And there you can see it says Bonjour Patrick. And let's just try running that one more time. So I'll type in Patrick, and this time I'm going to select 7. And there you can see it saying, sorry, that choice is invalid. So it's falling into the default here. Now, as I mentioned, these breaks are here to basically exit out of the switch. So if we comment these out so the compiler ignores them, what's going to happen is no matter what case we land on, it's going to print the case and the default case. So I'll say Patrick, and I'll select German. So there you can see it's saying Guten Tag Patrick, and sorry, that choice is invalid. So you want to make sure that you always include the break. And another thing that may not be obvious to you now since you're just starting off is if you were to give this code to another developer and they looked at this really quickly, they wouldn't really know what case 1 is, case 2, or case 3. So it would make sense to add in a comment here saying 1 is French and 2 Oh, sorry, actually that's English. English. And 2 is French. And 3 is German. And this is just really good general programming practice. So keep in mind when you're writing code that you should always leave comments.